In every revolution, there's one man with a vision.
Captain Kirk, I shall consider it.
Hey everybody, Glenn here, and welcome to Trek Tuesdays, episode number 3. Today I'm bringing out some pop figures to review, some Star Trek pops, and I'm going to do 2 figures and their alternate quote-unquote versions. So we've got Mr. Spock, so we'll do an original series Mr. Spock along with the Mirror Universe Spock. And then we'll jump ahead to the next generation and we'll talk about the Captain Picard figure and Locutus of Borg. So we've got basically 2 characters and 4 pops. So let's check them out up close and personal. Okay, we're going to start off with Spock. This is Pop Television, Star Trek The Original Series, number 82. So these figures came out in 2013, so they're not that old, but they're also not that new. If you check out the box, we've got Spock on the side there, and the other 5 of the Star Trek Original Series characters. I believe that Spock is the only one with a variant that we're going to look at here in a second. I've got Kirk, Spock, and I've got the Andorian as well. So I've got half the set, looking for the other 3. So those are the 6 from the original series, the other side of the box, and the front again. As far as Spock goes, one thing I don't like about this is that for a male character, he's very back heavy, so he falls backwards very easily. So he's not all that sturdy. He'll fall really easily, as you can see. What I do like about this particular character and this particular model is the pose. I really dig the pose in this, and not only this one, but if you look at the top 3, you've got Kirk, Spock, and Scotty posed, 2 of them with phasers, but then you have the other 3 that are just kind of standing there, so that's kind of a bummer. I like pops that have a pose, and especially a pose that is distinctive to that particular character. The pop itself looks pretty good. There's a couple little blemishes. I've had this one for a while on the shelf, so you know I had to dust them off a little bit before showing them, but no major blemishes. The only thing is if you look here at the hairline, it kind of bleeds into the forehead. So that's kind of a bummer. It's definitely something that's noticeable, you know, on an otherwise good-looking pop figure. Don't really see a whole lot of, and it's funny, these older ones too, the hairline's not very straight. It's got a little bit of paint bleed, but the body looks actually really good. So digging the piping on the tunic and all that, it looks pretty good there. But again, I don't like that he doesn't stand very well, but I love that pose. So there we go. Mr. Spock, number 82 from Star Trek The Original Series. And Mirror Universe Spock. I love this pop figure because it's essentially the same as the Spock figure, except obviously his Mirror Universe counterpart. Everything looks the same. Side of the box, the rear. But the thing that's cool is he's basically got the same pose, but he has a phaser instead of Live Long and Prosper going on there. I just love that. There's a distinction between the 2 universes. As far as the pop itself, he's got the iconic beard used to signify a evil version of the pop. If you look at the pop though and the box, they look very different. His eyebrows are very different. The goatee is different, or the Van Dyke, whatever you want to call it, is different. He looks confident. He looks confidently evil in the picture here, but he looks almost sad in this picture. It's kind of weird. The tunic looks great. Love the symbols from the Mirror Universe. The little sash he's got going on right there. Looks good. It looks a little bit better than the other pop as far as there's not a whole lot of bleeding. Still a little bit jagged, and you got a little bit of hair bleed around here, but the hairline looks a lot better. Again, I like the pose with the phaser, and just like his counterpart, he knocks over really easily. He's not very stable, which kind of bugs me. But other than that, good looking pop there. That is Mirror Universe Spock, number 82. Okay, now we jump ahead a little over 100 years to Star Trek The Next Generation. This is Captain Picard, also from the television series, obviously, number 188. Checking out the box, pretty standard box, a little bit different in that he's got stars behind him as far as the background there. And this series has 8 pop figures in it. This one makes a distinction between Captain Picard and Locutus of Borg, which we're going to go over here in a second. I don't know about anybody else, but the thing I notice about this pop series in general is, except for Counselor Troy, every single pop has the same stance. The bodies almost look like they're carbon copies of each other, except for color. And that doesn't thrill me that much. The Klingon has a batholith, which is good, but every other pop, standing. I mean, they all look the same, and I don't like that very much because I think it's kind of lazy. They could have easily done some distinctive poses for each character. To me, this doesn't even really fit pose-wise for Captain Picard. This might work pretty well for Riker or Worf for sure. But the other guys, this is kind of a come at me pose that I just don't think works very well. I would have liked to seen, Picard with his tablet or something like that. I think that would have been a better, more distinctive look. As it is, I find this pop a little bit on the boring side. There's nothing wrong with it. It looks good. They did a good job on paint as far as his tunic goes. The Star Trek emblem, the Starfleet emblem looking pretty good. They chose a good uniform for him. There's some subtle details that I like that are hard to pick up here, but he's got the lines in his hair, in his wraparound hair there. His chrome dome looks good. Nothing wrong there. Everything looks nice. No bleeding. The eyes look pretty good. Everything looks good. It's just kind of not very, kind of underwhelming. For pops these came out in 2015, these aren't very old. These are less than a year old, this series. So I would have liked to seen them being a little more creative with the pop figures. Honestly, the Captain Picard here is a little bit on the boring side. But that being said, not a terrible pop. I mean, it looks pretty good for what it is. That is Captain Picard, number 188, Star Trek The Next Generation. All right, we have Locutus of Borg lastly. And this is where this series really shines. And I'm surprised that it does, because compared to the other pops, you can see the box there, compared to the other pops in this line, this one is so cool looking and so detailed and different. I'm actually a little bit surprised that it didn't end up being an exclusive or something from one of the retailers, because this as a pop, and this is number 194, it's actually distinct from the 188 that is the regular Captain Picard. So this is its own thing. But this just looks so great. I love the Borg implants. They did such a really good job. They shine, but they're dull. They're not overwhelming with trying to be chrome or anything. These just look really good, and they're really intricate. If you look on the head and then on the body, they just did a really good job with how they did this on basically the Picard model. And if you look at them together, let's kind of look at them like that. There we go. Basically the same. That little subtle differences, though, too, is this eyebrow arches a little bit more, making him a little more menacing. But just as a pop itself, it just looks awesome. I love this. This is probably my favorite of the Star Trek pops. It's definitely my favorite of the Next Generation pop figures, and especially for a common. It's really surprising to see something so different be a common pop, but they just did a really good job with that one. So that's Locutus of Borg number 194. Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed our look at some Star Trek pop figures. Trek Tuesdays will be back in 2 weeks, and I'll have some starships to show you. We're going to do 2 moving forward instead of 1, so I'm excited about that. Stay tuned, and as always, check out our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff on the side. Make sure hit that subscribe button, and I'd love to see your comments about these pops and about these Trek Tuesdays. Not getting too many views on the Trek Tuesdays so far. So is this a series that you're interested in? Is there something else you'd like to see on Trek Tuesdays? Just let me know, and I'd love to get that feedback. So until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.